I guess it would help if I clicked record on Ecan. Thank God we didn't say anything.
Nothing profound. I like Carson's lead into our latest episode. It's me just asking you, like, so what are you pissed about, man? Like,
Although that's
no.
dangerous for white audiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
To start off with the angry black man,
Yeah.
you know. Um,
It's more dangerous for white audiences having people model the behavior of just walking up to some black man and be like, "What are you pissed about?" Because they might do it, and then they might practice that, and then might get hurt.
yeah, we damn sure should have had the warning. When Eleanor says, "Do not walk up to the first black man you see us have this sort of conversation. It will not end well." So, what are you pissed about? Case and point. Don't do it.
I gotta re-record the intro. Like
Be like, especially not now. Especially in these times. Do not do it.
There's a lot of them out in the streets. Just go find one.
You will probably be smacked for this.
They're the ones with their fists in the air. Just walk up to them. They're volunteering.
Did you see the clip of the Hispanic woman that smacked the shit out of this white woman? Man, so this Hispanic sister and I think her boyfriend were in a convenience store. And some white woman, I don't know if she was the owner of the store or whatever, some white woman started telling the woman that she got to get out. And putting her hands in the woman in the Hispanic woman's face, and you got to get out, and blah 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 blah, and go back to Mexico or whatever the hell she said. And they were arguing back and forth. And when the Hispanic woman went to walk away, the white woman grabbed her. And when the white woman grabbed her, the Hispanic woman turned, pop, smacked the shit out of her. And then the white woman was like, "Oh my God! Oh my God!" And you can hear the white guy who was recording it. Yep, you just assaulted her and she smacked you. She stood her ground and she smacked you. She was well within her rights to smack you. And like, and you could, and you know it was a white guy who was saying that, because a black man would have been like, "Oh, you got smacked the fuck out, you got knocked out, like, oh," like it would have been a hell of a lot more dramatic. The white guy, you know, it was a white guy because he was making sure that in his recording the legal play-by-play was being was being noted. So that when this goes viral, it will be known. Yes, you did this, and she did that.
Speaking of recording, right? So it's something we're supposed to do at the beginning, but I think we can do it at any time, right? So on three, I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, and on three, right? Not the beat after, but like 1, 2, on. Well, 1, 2, 3, smack, right? So that's actually on 4, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, smack. On 1, 2, 3, smack. We get clap, and that's gonna make an audio spike that the audio engineers can line up and synchronize the audios much better. You ready?
Sure.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Right. 1, 2, 3, smack. I didn't do it. I can't. This is whiteness right here. All right. 1, 2, 3. What? Look, now you late, man. What's up with that? That's how deep white supremacy goes, man. Now you've lost the beat.
Man, you know, Final Cut will sync it for you though.
What will?
Final Cut. Don't you have Final Cut? I thought you had Final Cut as well.
No.
Oh, I have Final Cut. Okay, I upgraded to Final Cut. Final Cut. If you put in 2 video files that have the same audio, it'll sync the audio files.
Okay, let's try one more time. 1, 2, 3. All right. Well, anyway, I think you have to say. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I don't know.
Carson's been jonesing for me to get the Adobe Premiere, I guess, which I assume would do the same thing.
I imagine it would. Adobe is good. Adobe is good. Adobe may be better than Final Cut. It may be. I'm not sure. But Final Cut is the pro version for Apple.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the pro. It's the iMovie is what comes standard. Final Cut is like, industry standard.
Right.
Adobe is as well. I think Adobe is more expensive, although they have the online version now.
Right. That's what I use that already. So it would only be I guess it'd be like 10 extra bucks a month, but yeah, okay. It looks like syncing Premiere Pro, synchronizing audio and video called merge clips. Sync audio and video. Okay. So we'll see.
Yeah, but it does allow you to sync automatically.
Yeah.
Automatically. But no, so when did he get into this? When did he get into production, like digital media?
He took a class at junior high. One of his options was media production or whatever, and then he started doing the morning announcements, and they have this is a white flight school district, man. They've got a whole television studio, like big control boards and cameras and everything. So he learned how to do editing on like a legit control board. So he's over here complaining about iMovie just is terrible.
It is. iMovie is pretty bad. It is. It is. I would concur with him on that. Again, that's why I upgraded to Final Cut. I used Adobe when I worked on Capitol Hill, but that's when I had taxpayer dollars paying for Creative Suite. Because I think at the time the software was like $1,300.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I ain't got $1,300. iMovie was, I think, not iMovie. Final Cut Pro. I think I paid about $500 or $600 for that to be installed on my new Mac.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see.
That's cool though. Hey, I mean, I was about to say, it's a praiseworthy skill. I wonder if I still have access to that digital marketing stuff that I had paid for years ago that I never used. When I thought I was going to have a team of digital marketers to do this stuff. But it's an important skill nowadays, especially, and for his life in general, if he's interested, and the extra benefit of getting you doing more digital work.
Yeah, that's true. No, it was so much nicer just to say, here you go. And unfortunately, his mother represented him in the negotiations.
Man! So you had to really pay.
For babysitting, we get the family rate. It was like $2.50 an hour or something like that. But
no family rate for digital marketers.
She made me pay a minimum wage for this stuff.
For
this work.
Man, that's all right, I guess. That's all right. We gotta make sure he's on task and not just counting hours.
No, that's true. That's true. But I'm no longer a supporter of the fight for 15. I mean, I was.
Right.
Not anymore.
See what happens to white power? The minute y'all become, capital, the minute y'all become big capital, there goes all the support for. What you paying him? Restaurant wages? He working for tips?
That's right. I'm like, I don't have to pay you minimum wage. You working for tips. He's an independent contractor too.
Right.
I make sure he's not an employee. I don't do any of that. No.
Right.
No W-2.
Right. We ain't paying no FICA. We ain't paying no.
That's what I told him. I'm like, man, if you want Adobe Premiere, that's part of your business. You got to pay for it, man. That's not me.
Right. You got to save up your earnings and get that. You can get the month-to-month version if you want. There's a way.
He's going to figure out though that he has to price himself appropriately for his costs, right? And so my hourly rate's going to go up. I don't know.
Right. But that's when you gotta go into business with him and say, this is actually your apprenticeship. And then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna shop you out to other who want to do this work. I mean,
yeah. Yeah,
And
but
that's
he's
where you
13,
get the
so
real money.
He's 13, so he knows more than I do. He won't. He's not interested in apprenticeship.
He ain't doing that. He ain't doing that. He's like, man, later for learning, for on the job training. I'm ready.
That's right. Plus, he gets all the racial heresy content for free anytime we just go for a walk or he asks a question. He was telling me the other night, why do I ask questions? It always just ends up systemic racism.
Because that's what it always is, son.
Oh, yeah. You've cracked the code. I don't know where we ran into it, but it totally crossed my mind this morning that you and I had talked about Aunt Jemima before.
Man, why is it only now that and this is crazy, right? Pepsi! I didn't know Pepsi owned Aunt Jemima. So a couple years ago, Pepsi had Khloe Kardashian come out and stop racial injustice with a damn Pepsi can, and they still got Aunt Jemima? What the hell?
I think they own KFC too.
They probably do. Yo, Aunt Jemima has been the worst. I think Uncle Ben's got canceled years ago.
No,
Uncle Ben's is still around?
Like
last Uncle year Ben's and Aunt Jemima. I'm like, get the hell out of here, yo.
We had some Uncle Ben's in the the food pantry bin.
Can't give this away. But yeah, I saw that this morning, man. I saw that, and it's like that's the blindness of whiteness, right? And this goes back to what we were talking about in terms of you got to be something more than do something, right? Because Pepsi wanted to do something years ago, and they came out with this ad where she gonna stop police brutality with a damn can of Pepsi, and they wondered why they got so much backlash. You got so much backlash Coke because you had Aunt Jemima still.
Should have used Coke. If she'd have used Coke, it'd have been okay.
Oh man, what you should have done is pour some Coke on everybody, because since Coke is corrosive as shit, pour some Coke on.
Well, that's interesting. Putting it to the do versus be. I'm like, I don't want to lose the action that like on the one hand, I don't want to lose the part where while you're working on being, and by all means work on being,
right,
but to do something that actually makes some change as part of your. I mean, even you wrote the other day about the justification by faith alone, right? The sort of what you thought was like a white supremacy of justification by faith and the separation from works. And so, yes, you have to work on being, and theosis and the Eastern Church. And I know nothing about that, except the word to throw it out there and know that you've been telling me about it for years. But like, I don't want to lose that, because for so long, all the white folks have just been sitting there pretending to be being, or pretending to understand, or quote unquote trying to understand, but not doing anything about it.
Yeah, but the problem has been, every time whiteness has done, it tends to make the situation worse.
There's an argument for that. There's a solid argument for that. Okay, but and part of what is going on now that is different, right, is that it's white people doing in submission to under black leadership, right? Like if
but is it really in submission to?
Well, no, but not yet. But
right,
but it's closer, right? I mean, like I let me not say no or yes. I don't know, right? Because nobody's leading the movement. It's distributed, it's organic, all that stuff. At least in this case, we're closer to that, right? Like there is public black imagery leadership example that we can fall into and model.
We think.
It's not just we think.
And here's why I say we think, because I was talking about this whole VP choice, right? And they're looking at, of course, everyone says that he needs to Joe Biden needs to choose a black woman. And there you have the problem right already. It's already been decided by the powers that be that what we need now is a black woman. They gave us a black man before to pacify us. It worked for 8 years, and now all hell broke loose, and now we need to put a black woman up. And that's all that's happening. White power is putting forward a black woman. It's not like black people have decided this is the one, this is the person that if you want to get our vote, this is who we want you to look at. That's not the argument. Whiteness is saying, here's the black face that we're going to give you, and you should be happy that we chose this black face. See, it's a black woman. You should be happy.
Well, first of all, it hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah, but all of the front runners, except for Elizabeth Warren, are black women, and it is and they are completely flawed black women.
Well, everybody's flawed.
No. I mean they are quintessentially flawed because they are being chosen not just because they're blackness, but especially in these times of police brutality. The two top ones, Kamala Harris and Val Demings, are being chosen not just because they are black women, but also because they have law enforcement backgrounds. Both of them have terrible records when it comes to policing. The Orlando Police Department ain't no safer because Val Demings was the chief of police. She didn't institute any of the reforms that they're talking about now. Kamala Harris failed to prosecute cops who were abusive. So all that we're giving is the trappings of black people who were involved in law enforcement, and now they're saying the right things. And so even though they didn't do the right things when they were in power, when they were afraid to be black when they were in power, they didn't want to upset the status quo and go against whiteness when they were in positions of power. Now, because they're saying the right things at an appointed time, having been put on stage by whiteness, now black people are supposed to trust them.
Well, no, I don't think black people are supposed to trust that. I think black people are just supposed to accept it as the only and maybe best only alternative they have. White people are supposed to trust that.
Exactly. Even worse. Even worse. Even worse. We know we're not supposed to trust them. We know that we're just being pandered to.
You ain't got no other choice.
It's like the Democrats kneeling in the damn kente cloth. And I'm like, which one? We need answers. The black community should want answers. Which one of y'all dumbass Negroes told these white folks that this was a good idea? Because one of them nigga congressmen told Nancy Pelosi this is what we need to do. Or are you telling me that all of y'all told her this was bullshit and she decided to do it anyway? One or the other of those things happened.
So now I don't know if I just have a hammer now, so everything looks like a nail. And I keep hearing resonance. I keep asking the similar questions, right? So does white power, white authority fast from any symbolic act, any visible public display? Does it just sort of stop doing anything until it actually does something, right? Until it actually, the internal work, we figure it out and we can pass meaningful change. And until then, look, you don't get to kneel. You don't get to do anything. You don't get to say anything. You just keep your mouth shut, maybe open your wallet a little bit more, but otherwise you just don't. I mean, don't even show up to a protest. Don't show up to a walk.
One would hope. One would hope. One would hope that, because it's the white savior mentality that's been killing us. Everybody thinks what we need to do is sprinkle some whiteness on it. If we get white folks involved, everything will be better. And I'm like, probably the best thing for Black America right now is to leave y'all alone. I'm not saying y'all don't need to do this work. Yes, the work needs to be done. But not for the sake of Black lives. The work needs to be done for the sake of white lives. I'm like, white lives matter. Y'all need to understand, there's no way to get to heaven with this sort of definition of whiteness. Can't get there. It's impossible.
Right, and that's a step that hasn't been taken yet, right? In some respects, you have whiteness now saying, at least some portion of whiteness saying Black Lives Matter. You've always had a small minority of people who've been out there, right? And now you've got more numbers, you got more people who are out in support of Black life, right? But who do not yet arguably see it as something that is inherent about their own lives, like that they themselves are, that we ourselves are in peril.
And that's the thing.
Because if that had happened, just like with COVID, just like with everything else that has threatened white life, if that happens, then we would actually change.
A long time ago. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Because then whiteness understands, why do I need to get involved with this? We keep trying to give white folks empathy for the Black and brown struggle. And that empathy is always and only momentary. As soon as we get to a point of stasis, that empathy goes out the window. But white people live with whiteness every day. We keep trying to get them to understand Blackness. We're trying to get y'all to understand Blackness and what it's like to live as a Black man or a Black woman. Don't need to understand that. You are white every day. Understand what your witness as a white person and what you have done to help define or redefine or uphold or maintain or change the definition of whiteness into something that could get your progeny into the kingdom of God. Right now, if you aspire to be white, you aspire to go to hell. Because the quintessential definition of whiteness is rape and pillage. Steal, take, lord it over, oppress, dominate.
Can we do both? Can we work both to develop empathy and understanding of Blackness, and while we do the internal work to understand whiteness?
Man, I don't know, brother.
We good at multitasking.
We haven't proven to be. We haven't proven to be. We think we're good at multitasking. We ain't proven to be good at multitasking. I don't know, brother.
How do we surrender? How far back does the fast? How deep does the fast go? Right. I mean, nobody in elected office, nobody writing policies. Everybody resigned from Congress. No white bishops. No white priests. Like how deep does the fast go? I didn't even thought about that.
Well, I wouldn't even say like no white bishops, no white priests, or anything like that. I would say the fast is fast from pretending to know anything of use to anyone else.
So we can show up if truly Black leadership has said, this is where you show up and this is what you do. Bring your bottle of water, stand over here and hand them out.
It's like my mom even pointed out to me, white folks have taken over the protests in Seattle. White liberals have come in and taken over whatever white folks show up, whether because of white supremacy or Black inferiority. Ultimately, what happens is an ascent to whiteness.
And that work of submitting to Black authority, to stepping out of the path of Black power, of let alone encouraging and supporting a strong Black identity. Let me get you started on that again. Is something we have repeatedly demonstrated we are unwilling to do.
100%.
In the world, in the country, in our neighborhoods, in church.
Look,
how does this tie?
Everything is through and through. Whiteness carries the authority of definition. That's why Adam got to be white, because then it justifies white power being the ones to determine and name everything and define everything.
So how does that, because I know you don't like Black liberation theology, how does that tie to this concept, this idea of the ontological blackness of God, that of Christ being, inherently black, and depending on how you define that, et cetera, but that seems to be ultimately at least one way to look at this definition,
right?
That would challenge white folks to actually surrender, to actually give up, to engage in a new way, to really, heck with all this little stuff. Like, let's not, while we're engaging our own whiteness, let's go for the whole kit and caboodle, right? That our concept of God is wrong.
That's where it has to come, to me at least, to be clear that Western Christianity is heretical. It's got to be heretical. When you look at the witness of Western society, of European society, if we are honest critiques of the degradation to humanity that has been wrought by white society, how can a society that swears upon its Judeo-Christian values, and that's why everyone has to submit. That's why China gotta go our way. That's because our Judeo-Christian values make us so great. Again, I was talking to Bishop Sauls, and I was talking about 1054. And he was talking about even before that, and I agree with him too. He was like Constantine.
Right.
This whole Western society, Europeans have always looked at Christ as a means for conquest. If I'm Christian, that means I can triumph.
What church isn't heretical? What faith doesn't have in it, and certainly in its practice, heresy? When we're talking about an infinite God and a finite fallen, fallenness not necessarily inherent in a lot of Eastern tradition, right? But when we are inherently talking about an infinite God and a finite human being, there's always going to be heresy. There's always going to be flaw.
Right.
So what alternative is there, right? It's not that we can stop practicing Western Christianity, and instead, if we only practiced Eastern or Ethiopian or Greek Orthodox, it's flawed. So we have to repent and reconcile and redeem, but there's not an easy sort of stop doing this and start doing that.
There is, because that is repent. You stop doing this and start doing that. I think the issue is we keep trying to hold on to what we've established, because it's got to be redeemed, because we can't be as bad as we look. No, it's really that bad. It's really that damn bad. And until we get to the point where we want to throw it away, we're not going to get where we need to be.
Count it all as loss.
Right. There you go. There you go.
Peter Rollins, theologian and author, I don't remember out of where these days, but years ago published like How Not to Speak of God, how to an encouragement and a theology that recognizes that our concept of God is not God, that our language of God is not God, that we have to remember that Christianity was founded and we were the atheists. Christians were the ones who had rejected the pantheon of Roman, state-sponsored religion. We were the atheists. We were the ones who didn't believe in the gods.
Right.
And to reclaim this freedom and power in submitting the humility to say that what we believe of God isn't, and so in that sense is wrong, is flawed, is incomplete at the very least, and needs to be redeemed, needs to be made bigger, needs to be expanded, certainly needs to be surrendered, and see what happens.
Right. Exactly. I mean, we gotta at least want to try that, right? Like,
no, we don't. Hell no, man. It is scary enough just thinking about leaving our freaking walls. Like, it is scary enough walking outside, like, let alone like tearing what feels like tearing down the walls of our faith. No, we don't want that. Nobody wants that. We don't want that. No, nobody wants that. That is scary. I mean, we're scared. Look, you want to talk about white fragility again, man. We are scared of the smallest thing. We're scared to move the pew, take out a pew. We're scared to move the bookcases or the organ. We're scared to play different music. Like, we're scared when someone new walks into the church, we're scared that they're going to take our place, our pew, our power, our everything. I mean, that's right. That's the fundamental nature of white supremacy, that it is fear in us of loss of all of this. We're afraid to lose our own place, let alone God's place. No, we don't need that. No. No.
But then we get back to what's the hope.
Syrup. We give up Aunt Jemima, but even that was like 80 years coming, right? Like 1890, I think that brand was founded, right? Like it took us let me do the math, 130 years to give up Aunt Jemima. We ain't definitely not giving up white Jesus.
But that's the thing, though. That's the thing. Until we do, and that's we, all of us, because black folks are the biggest proponents of white Jesus. Until we do, we ain't got a chance. We ain't got a chance.
Make a way where there is no way. That's what I need right now. That's the only thing I'm gonna hold on to, because that's all that I got left, because it doesn't feel like there's a way forward. It feels too scary. It feels too big. Somebody got to make a way where there is no way right now.
Well, that's yeah. I mean, that's what we gotta look for. But we know that the Lord makes a way. That's what he said. You know, a way from no way.
Find a way in the midst of fear to claim that promise.
But I mean, that's the life of faith. When that's the faith that was accounted unto Abraham as righteousness, right? I mean, for him, it looked like there was no way. What the hell are you telling me? I'm gonna have a child. I'm already 100 years old. I'm gonna move in my old age. I'm gonna move from this land where I know everybody to some land I don't know. You know, to finally be given this child and be told that you gotta go kill this child. You know, in the midst of an impossible situation, to find a way, to believe that there is a way, to follow the way.
So you tell us out there in podcast land, out in the world, those of you who are marching, those of you who are not marching, those of you who are calling your congressman, and those of you who are calling your congresswoman, and And how are you holding on to finding a way where there is no way? How do you face up to the fear of losing everything that whiteness has built, and the anxiety to let go, to trust in a promise of God that says, go to a land that I will show you, and there you will be blessed? Because I'm having a hard time. You can just look at my life. I'm having a hard time, just like the rest of us all.
Yeah, you know, it's a, you know, it's. I'm thinking about the lectionary, and I know you were rapping, man, but you know me. I think about the lectionary for this coming week as we sit to record this, and just thinking about Jesus's promises to us, right? Like a teacher is not a student is not above their teacher, Like
Mm-hmm.
if they call the master of the house Beelzebub, what will they say about you? You know, um, and Western Christianity is a Christianity of privilege and stature. It's a Christianity where the disciple has transcended the master, where the disciple comes to expect a better life in this life than that of their master, of their Lord. That somehow by becoming Christian, um, we will be, earthly conquerors and earthly rulers, and you know, um, all kinds of things. But Jesus himself said, if they call the master of the house Beelzebub, what will they say to you? He was like, you will be pulled before leaders, before the synagogues, before governors, before state leaders, before religious leaders. You will be pulled before them. Everyone will betray you. Everyone will say all kinds of stuff about you. They will run you out of town. If you can't get received in this town, flee to the other. If you go to a house, let your peace stay in you. Let your peace stay in the house until you leave. But if your peace does not stay, take it, shake the dust off your sandals, and keep it moving. You will not go through all the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes. You will be chased all over the place. That's what the Lord promised us. So then, how do you see the way forward in the midst of this morass? How do you see the way forward? How do you identify the way, the truth, the life? And really consider, is the way that is being preached to us, whether it's prosperity gospel, mainline gospel, black liberation gospel, whatever it is in the West, the way that is being presented to us, is it not a way that is seeking favor with man? Is it not a way that aligns us with Babylon, trying to appease Babylon, trying to make peace with Babylon, trying to reconcile ourselves with the oppression, as if our oppressors will be our vindicators, as if our oppressors will be our liberators? Or do we have a faith that points us to the reality that the oppressor will be the oppressor? Maybe the oppressor will take his foot off of our neck for a little while, but oppressor's going to oppress. And only one is the Lord. Only one is our God. Only one is good. Only one is just. And will we start pointing ourselves to the just one, to the one who is truly just? Or will we keep hoping that we will find another just one who is equally or sufficiently just? That's where I'm at, brother. That's what
Amen.
I look to and hope the church can point people to. The one who alone is just.
Amen.
Amen.
I think there's something there. Not now, but later. That idea of I don't know. There's a lot of resonance for me in the being better than the master, right? Like problematic as some of that language is, but to expect a life better than Jesus, and that, we've taken life abundant and thought, I know I've thought that Jesus didn't have abundant life, right? I've thought Jesus didn't have abundant life. Jesus had hard, challenging, difficult, painful life. And so my expectations are that I will have a better life than Jesus did.
And that's a hell of a thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
the audacity of the claim that he who is life did not have an abundant life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what we all think. You know what I mean? Like, he was oppressed. He didn't have this abundant life. Means that we're supposed to live lavish. We're supposed to at least live on easy street. That we're supposed to, at least have what he had or better than he had, or whatever.
Well, we wouldn't articulate. I wouldn't articulate it that way.
No, we wouldn't.
We wouldn't claim that.
No, we wouldn't. But that's how we live.
Yet, well, you're right. That's how we live and in response to this kind of fundamental view that resonates with how we've viewed every other culture that we've gone over, like this pity. The third world countries. Oh, I mean, all the language that we've applied, all the shithole countries, right? Like,
right.
all those poor people. The assumption that oppressed people don't have abundant life, and the pity that we've been, the compassion, the empathy that we tried to start with Jesus, that has morphed into a pity, and that long term has become an excuse, a foundation on which to build, the shifting sand foundation on which to build a life that Jesus wants better for us, and not appreciating, Kelly Brown Douglas talks about this, right? When white slaveholder Christianity was all about the great by and by, it was all about the afterlife. When we've missed the life of Jesus, we've missed a definition of abundant life. That couldn't we engage with his life about abundant life?
Right.
That what was abundant about wandering? I mean, with someone who had no place to lay his head, no home. The fox has a hole, right? But I don't. Right. And yet, was there still abundant life? How could there not be if love and life in light incarnate was walking around?
Exactly. So we've completely misconstrued what abundance in life is, or abundance of life is.
And now we're so wrapped up in all of that we're so afraid to give it up,
which denies us the abundant life.
Don't tell my wife. She's worried we're going to end up living under a bridge. That's good. I don't think she listened to the podcast anyway.
My wife used to not, but now she is, because all these corporate environments are all trying to figure out how to look like they care or something, and it's like my cousins as well. In our cousins chat, they were all talking about they're all being asked to make these black presentations now. Everyone's asking them to black-splain the company, like. And black people are being put on the spot now. Like, come explain this to me. You know what I mean? Black folks are like, how the hell do I find the language to tell these white folks in a way where these white folks won't fire me?
Yeah. And that's another conversation.
That is.
But I do have to go.
Yeah. And so we do have to end this. But, y'all can rest assured that we have gotten off of our hiatus and just start recording again, and see if we might have something worth saying to the church and to not just the institution, but more so to we who are the church, that we might truly become and model beloved community.
We believe, Lord. Help our unbelief.
Amen.
I believe. Help my unbelief.
Yeah, I believe too. I'm trying to believe.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Um, I don't want to lose being able to check in with you too. And we've seen this rhythm before, right? When we get on a good recording kick, and that's good. And I want to keep on that.
Right.
I want to make sure that you don't get lost in the midst of that,
Amen.
because your life is
Likewise.
still going on.
Likewise, I
I
realized
know.
that I don't spend any time asking about you and what's going on. Um,
So
you know. So yeah.
we're there. It's okay right now. It's good enough. But we'll keep that in mind. All right.
Amen. All right, brother. So I put those up then. I all the tools, I didn't start using them until the end. I forgot to switch back and forth between cameras. So it was on dual majority of the time.
That's fine. That's the better way to do it anyway, because then if we want to, we can crop. You can crop to get a single frame.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've even done that in iMovie where we had two, and then hey, let's zoom in and focus on you because you were saying more. We can do that.
Yeah.
So,
All
all right,
right,
brother.
brother. Love you, man. Love the family. Tell them we said hello.
Love you too, as well.
Likewise, we'll
Okay.
do. All right,
Peace.
brother. Peace.